Long before Larry Fitzgerald became one of the most reliable wide receivers in NFL history, he was just a quiet kid in Minnesota, chasing the shadow of a legend. Every Sunday, his eyes locked on the television as Randy Moss defied physics, gliding down the field, snatching jump balls with ease, and leaving defenders hopeless in his wake. For young Larry, Moss wasn't just a star. He was the blueprint. He studied every move, every route, every effortless catch, and he carried those lessons with him. But what made their story even more remarkable was that Moss didn't ignore the quiet ball boy admiring him from the sidelines. He embraced him. Moss gave him advice, motivation, and even trust. When Larry gathered enough courage to ask for a favor on prom night, Moss handed him the keys to his BMW. Larry drove his date in his hero's car and returned it without a scratch. It wasn't just an act of kindness, it was a passing of the torch. While Moss was making NFL defenses look foolish, Fitzgerald was busy carving out his own legend at the Academy of Holy Angels. He didn't have blazing speed or towering size. What set him apart were his hands that seemed destined to never let go of anything that touched them. His grandfather, an optometrist, had trained him from a young age using unique eye coordination drills. Larry caught tennis balls with one eye covered, merged two pennies into one through sheer focus, and even practiced catching footballs in the dark, relying only on feel. By the time he was a teenager, coaches realized that if a ball was in the air near Larry, it was already his. They tested him constantly. Off-target throws, deep shots into double coverage, impossible lobs, and time after time he came down with the ball. Over his final 2 high school seasons, Fitzgerald racked up more than 2,100 receiving yards and 34 touchdowns, becoming the most dependable receiver Minnesota had ever seen. But when graduation came, his next challenge wasn't on the field. It was in the classroom. Larry didn't meet the NCAA academic requirements, forcing him to spend a year at Valley Forge Military Academy. It was a humbling stopover, but one that hardened his resolve. When the time finally came to take his talents to college, he chose the University of Pittsburgh, where from the very start, he proved he was built for greatness. In just his second collegiate game, he was already torching ranked teams like Texas A&M for over 100 yards. By the end of his freshman season, he had led the Big East in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Then came 2003, the year Larry Fitzgerald broke college football. He began the season with 123 yards and 3 touchdowns against Kent State and never looked back. He dominated every opponent, putting up over 200 yards multiple times and scoring in every single game for an NCAA record 18 straight contests. It didn't matter where the ball was thrown, high, low, behind him, Fitzgerald caught everything. His catch radius seemed endless. His body control was something out of a video game, and his hands were already entering mythic territory. He ended that season with 92 catches, 1,672 yards and 22 touchdowns, sweeping national awards and finishing second in Heisman voting, a snub that remains controversial even today. Despite having only 2 years of college experience, Fitzgerald was granted an exemption to enter the 2004 NFL Draft. There was no debate. He was a franchise-changing receiver. Though some scouts nitpicked his speed, most knew it didn't matter. His hands were his superpower. When the Arizona Cardinals, coached by Dennis Green, ironically the same coach who knew Fitzgerald as a ball boy for the Vikings, held the 3rd pick, they didn't hesitate. Larry Fitzgerald became a Cardinal, and from the moment he stepped onto the field, the franchise's identity began to change. In his rookie season, Fitzgerald wasted no time showcasing what made him special. Even as the Cardinals struggled, he stood out for his precision, work ethic, and grace under pressure. He studied film like a veteran, stayed after practice to catch hundreds of passes in every possible position, and demanded the same discipline from younger players. He banned gloves during training, believing that toughness was built, not bought. The results spoke for themselves. By his second season, he had already surpassed 1,400 yards and led the league in receptions alongside teammate Anquan Boldin, forming one of the deadliest duos in football. By 2008, Fitzgerald was the beating heart of the Cardinals, carrying them into relevance. That postseason, he became something more than a star. He became a legend. Against the Panthers, he dismantled their defense with 166 yards and a touchdown. In the NFC Championship, he erupted for 3 touchdowns in one half, propelling Arizona to its first Super Bowl in franchise history. Then came that iconic moment in Super Bowl X8, With under 3 minutes left, he caught a slant, sliced through the defense, and sprinted 64 yards into the end zone. The Cardinals were one play away from a miracle. Though the Steelers ultimately snatched victory, Fitzgerald's performance was unforgettable. He broke multiple postseason records, proving that when the lights were brightest, no one burned hotter. The following seasons tested his resilience. He lost his Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner to retirement, and instead of pinpoint passes, he got chaos, rotating quarterbacks, inconsistent offenses, endless rebuilding. But Larry never flinched. Even with subpar play around him, he continued to post 1,000-yard seasons, making impossible catches look effortless. The Cardinals rewarded his loyalty with a massive 8-year, $120 million deal, and he proved worth every dollar. When age and offensive struggles began to take their toll, the team moved him inside to the slot in 2015. At first, Fitzgerald saw it as a demotion, but it became a rebirth. It made him smarter, more versatile, and nearly impossible to guard. That year, he posted 109 catches and over 1,200 yards, helping the Cardinals reach the NFC Championship. And in the playoffs against the Packers, Fitzgerald delivered another iconic moment, snatching a short pass and zigzagging 75 yards through defenders in overtime to set up the game-winning score. The roar of the crowd that night said it all. This was his house, his moment, his legacy. Even as the years passed, Fitzgerald refused to fade. In his 30s, when most receivers were slowing down, he led the league in receptions again, becoming the oldest player ever to do so. He caught his 100th career touchdown, reached 1,000 receptions faster than anyone in history, and continued adding milestones that seemed unreachable. By the time the Cardinals' fortunes declined, Fitzgerald had become their foundation, the face of loyalty in a league defined by movement. When asked why he never left to chase a ring, his answer revealed the essence of who he was. For him, legacy wasn't about trophies, it was about relationships, community, and being part of something lasting. That loyalty defined him as much as his hands did. And those hands, oh, those hands, became legendary for a reason. Across nearly 2 decades, Fitzgerald caught 1,432 passes, second only to Jerry Rice. He amassed over 17,000 yards and 121 touchdowns, all while officially dropping only 29 passes. He even had more career tackles than drops. Think about that. No receiver in history earned that level of trust, that consistency, that excellence. When it comes to debates about the greatest receiver ever, arguments can rage forever. Jerry Rice had the rings. Randy Moss had the swagger. Terrell Owens had the fire. But Larry Fitzgerald had the purity, the craftsmanship, humility, and sheer artistry of the game itself. He did all of it while catching passes from 21 different quarterbacks and still ended up second all-time in receptions and yards. He didn't need flash or controversy. He just needed a football in the air, and that was enough. Because once the ball left the quarterback's hand, it belonged to Larry Fitzgerald. The quiet kid who once idolized Randy Moss grew into the man every young receiver idolizes today. His career wasn't just great. It was a masterclass in discipline, loyalty, and perfection. If you enjoyed this story of Larry Fitzgerald's legendary journey, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories about the icons who changed the game, and tell us in the comments, where do you think Fitzgerald ranks among the all-time greats?